It was a night alive with reckless abandon, where laughter tangled with the burn of cheap liquor, and masks hid more than just faces. A Halloween party raged in a decaying mansion, the music so loud it drowned out the world, each beat pulsing through rotting walls. Costumed teens danced under flickering orange lights, their shadows twisting across peeling wallpaper. But then a silence crept in, not sharp, not sudden, but hollow, like the world holding its breath. From a shadowed hallway, a figure emerged, clad in a tattered costume no one had brought, its fabric yellowed and stiff, reeking of time and ruin. Moments later, a scream tore through the air, only to be swallowed by an unnatural dark. By morning, the music was forgotten, replaced by the lingering echo of something unspeakable that had walked among them, claiming its due. Hollow Manor loomed on the edge of Black Hollow Woods, a monstrous relic of a forgotten era, its ivy-choked spires clawing at the sky. The locals called it cursed, whispering tales of witches burned alive beneath its floorboards, of an attic sealed shut after a century of blood-soaked secrets. But to a group of thrill-seeking teens, it was the perfect stage for a night of scares and rebellion. They were too old for ghost stories, too bold for caution. Armed with plastic skulls, fake cobwebs, and crates of cider, they transformed the manor's crumbling halls into a party ground. Laughter echoed off dust-caked chandeliers. Selfies captured grinning faces beside warped mirrors, and the air grew thick with the scent of burnt candles and spilled beer. For hours, the only haunt was the thumping bass from stolen speakers. Until Sarah found the dress. Sarah was different, always had been. Quiet, with a faraway look in her eyes, she moved through the world like she belonged to another time. While her friends danced and drank, she drifted, drawn to the manor's secrets. The old wooden staircase, its banister splintered and groaning, called to her. She wasn't supposed to be upstairs. Nobody was. But the darkness of the second floor felt like an invitation. In a forgotten bedroom, behind a crumbling wardrobe, she found it. A dress, ancient and yellowed, draped over a child-sized mannequin. Its Victorian lace was torn, its fabric stiff with age, and it carried a faint, acrid smell, like soot mixed with the memory of screams. Sarah's fingers traced the delicate stitching, her heart pounding with a strange compulsion. She slipped it on, the fabric cold against her skin, heavier than it should have been. When she descended the stairs, her eyes were no longer her own. They gleamed with something ancient, something hungry. The party continued, but a shift had begun. First, it was Ben, a loudmouth junior who'd been tossing back drinks all night. He stumbled toward the kitchen for another beer and never returned. Then Mia, who'd laughed off the creepy vibes, vanished after heading to the bathroom. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Where were they? Had they hooked up, wandered off? But the air grew heavier, the music tinny and distant. A silence settled, not the kind that comforts, but one that presses against the skin, suffocating, alive. Guests began to disappear mid-sentence, their laughter cut short, their screams stifled before they could form. Where they'd stood, only shadows lingered, darker than they should have been, pooling like spilled ink. Panic erupted. Phones refused to connect, their screens flickering with static. The manor's lights pulsed in a sickening rhythm, casting warped shadows that seemed to move on their own. The air turned wet and sour, like the earth above a freshly dug grave. Sarah stood in the center of the parlor, unmoving, her head tilted at an unnatural angle, Her lips curved into a smile that wasn't hers. Her friends called out, their voices trembling, but she didn't respond. When they approached, the air thickened, pushing them back like a wall of boiling water. Her voice, when it came, wasn't from her throat. It slithered from the walls, the floorboards, the cracked mirrors lining the hall. "I am the queen of this house," it hissed, layered with a chorus of older, crueler voices. "Bow or bleed." They screamed her name, begged her to snap out of it, tried to tear the dress from her body. But the fabric had fused to her skin, threads weaving into her flesh like roots into soil. Her hands bled when they pulled, dark rivulets seeping into the floor. Her eyes, once soft and brown, were now black as a starless night, reflecting nothing but the terror of those who met her gaze. The manor itself responded, as if it had been waiting for her. Doors slammed shut, their hinges groaning like dying beasts. Windows warped, their glass twisting into grotesque shapes that trapped the moonlight. The walls pulsed, slow and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of something vast and alive. The remaining guests scattered, their screams echoing through endless corridors, only to find every hallway looping back to Sarah, her figure waiting at the center, her laughter growing louder, layered with voices that weren't human. The house became a labyrinth, its architecture defying reason. Stairs led to nowhere, rooms shifted when no one looked, and the air grew so cold it burned. Some swore they saw figures in the corners, pale, eyeless shapes that vanished when approached. Others felt hands, cold and bony, brush their necks in the dark. The music was gone, replaced by a low, guttural hum that seemed to come from the foundation itself. Sarah's laughter wove through it, no longer hers but a cacophony of anguish, rage, and something older than the manor, older than time. It wasn't just Sarah anymore. She was a vessel, a doorway for something that had been trapped beneath the house for centuries. Tyler was the last to hold on to hope. A track star with a stubborn streak, he fought through the suffocating panic, dodging shadows that reached for him, ignoring the whispers that clawed at his mind. He reached the front door, his fingers brushing the iron knob, his chest swelling with the promise of escape. The knob turned, then melted, oozing like wax under his touch. He spun around, and there she was. Sarah's reflection filled every mirror in the hallway, each one moving differently, some laughing, some weeping, some clawing at the glass. Her real form stood inches away, her breath cold as frost, her black eyes boring into his soul. Tyler turned to run, but the floor tilted, and he fell. The lights went out, and the manor swallowed his scream. By morning, Hollow Manor was silent. The police arrived, summoned by a neighbor who'd seen strange lights flickering in the windows. They found the house still, its air heavy with frost despite the autumn warmth. Sarah sat cross-legged in the parlor, the tattered dress clinging to her like a second skin, its fabric stained with blood and ash. Her face was blank, her eyes vacant, staring in nothing. She never spoke again, not to the officers, not to the doctors, not to the priests who came later. The other guests, Ben, Mia, Tyler, and dozens more, were gone. No blood, no signs of struggle, just furniture coated in a thin layer of frost and a faint, lingering smell of soot. The manor was condemned, its doors chained, its windows boarded. But the locals know better than to trust locks. They say on Halloween, if you stand outside and press your ear to the rotting wood, you'll hear it, faint music, the clink of glasses, the murmur of a party in full swing. Then comes the laughter, sharp and layered, followed by a scream that cuts off too soon. They call her the Tattered Queen, the spirit who claimed Hollow Manor as her kingdom, her dress a trap for any soul foolish enough to wear it. She waits, they say, for another curious heart, another body to slip into her skin. Some stories end with answers, with heroes or hope. This one ends with a warning. If you find a dress that doesn't belong, its fabric whispering secrets no one should hear, don't touch it, don't wear it. Because once you do, you're hers, and the Tattered Queen never lets go. You've heard her story, but have you felt her presence? If you've braved a place that whispered your name or survived a night where the shadows moved, share your tale below. Like and subscribe for more stories that linger long after the lights go out. But be careful what you say. She's always listening, and her kingdom is only a heartbeat away.